Welcome to Talkers on the Wall. We have Cole, which is me, and Braden.
Which is me.
We will be reviewing mostly House of the Dragon Season 2 on our thoughts on certain character developments and how we think the season is progressing as a whole. Uh, we'll just jump right into it. We'll be jumping into the highlights. I will go first. I'd say my main highlight of this season has been the Green Small Council. Um, as an avid slut for political scheming in Game of Thrones, it doesn't get much better than that. It really feels like you're back in the Thrones glory days when you see Alicent and Otto pulling the strings. But mainly, my favorite part of this, the Greens Council, is definitely between Aemond and Aegon, the dynamic between the two. And you really get to see where that ends off. And I'd say probably the highlight of the season would be Rook Rest. I know that's probably everyone's highlight of the season, but it's for a good reason. Uh, Braden, what would you say?
For my highlight, I have the same thing. Rook's Rest. I really like seeing the CGI they did for the episode was really well done. It was also like the first bit of action you really get in the season, other than when the two twins fight and kill each other, which was fine. But it just didn't have that spectacle for me. And honestly, I had forgotten those characters even existed between season 1 and season 2, personally. So when they came back and died in like episode 2. I just didn't really care about them at all.
Yeah, I feel like as they could have definitely done a better job on like really making you really care for the brothers because
Yeah.
really you don't really get to see them too much until episode 9 of season 1 when they're trying to find Aegon
Yeah.
to do the coronation.
And I just completely forgot about that even like happening.
Yeah.
But I also forgot about a couple of things from season 1, to be fair. So yeah, that action scene was fine, but it also just doesn't have the spectacle of when the dragons come and like fight each other. Also, like I had known what was going to happen, like at Rook's Rest, like just how the fighting would go down, how everybody would get hurt and who would die. But I didn't know how they were going to do it in the show because they always like change things and adapt things. So it was cool to see Aegon actually wasn't supposed to be there; that he just kind of got drunk and drunk drove into the fight. And then true,
Yeah.
bro is so relatable.
Yeah.
It was also cool to see that Aemond actually, at least in my opinion, very purposefully like downed Aegon and his dragon with Vhagar, just like lighting them aflame. And of course, he doesn't die from that, but it seemed very intentional to me that he at least was trying to kill his brother. And then also just seeing the farewell to Rhaenys. She was a really good character. I enjoyed her a lot, but she could have saved her own life if she had just killed them all. At the end of season 1, when she had the chance.
Yeah, which that I know we're kind of recapping back to season 1 a little bit, but yeah, I don't know that just felt like kind of unnecessary shock value.
Yeah.
She just or like
exploded
rises,
into the throne room. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. I guess they needed to do something for their episode 9.
Yeah.
But
it's still like just crazy. And then she goes on and gets killed, and then it's just
yeah,
it's like why
big
so
boy or big girl Vhagar with the sneak attacks.
So true. I don't know how you miss a dragon that size.
Yeah, I mean, it got Luke and
Yeah.
Rhaenys.
So dumb. I mean, Luke at least he was hiding in the clouds and the thunder. Freaking Rhaenys was like, I'll just go straight over the castle instead of around it.
I'm sure there's some Valyrian sneak tactics that Aemond has.
He's been studying the book.
Yeah, the philosophy and the blade.
So that was my highlight, but also another highlight for me would be when Otto gets kicked out of the small council. He gets relieved of his position as Hand of the King. When Aegon, after he hangs all the rat catchers, and Otto just kind of comes in and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's just so dumb. Like, they're already starving and now you're hanging the people outside. Like,
yeah, I feel like that's just like was so good about the Green Small Council. It's just like Aegon is definitely like caught me by surprise this season, and
yes,
like even though he's such a terrible person,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you still root for him in
Yeah.
a way. Just like his facial expressions, like
Mm-hmm.
when like just Maester Orwell just says some stupid shit,
Yeah.
and like Thailand, he just obviously you can't see my face, but
Yeah.
just the facial expressions are on point, and like when Otto's like, "What did you do with the rat catchers?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Oh.
I hanged them."
Yeah.
And he's so fecal.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
uh,
when Otto explodes on him, he's like, "Don't you ever think of your father? His wisdom."
yeah,
And that was just a great scene because then Otto really kind of basically tells Aegon, because Aegon is like, "My father named me heir," and Otto is basically just like, "You're stupid if you really think that.
yeah,
Like, we obviously put you on the throne, not your father." And then he gets dismissed from council, and Christian Cole is made the new Hand of the King. Kind of sets up a new dynamic for the whole council at that point too.
Yeah, like you can definitely tell the emptiness of Otto in the council when they bring up matters, and it's just Kristen Cole just given a blank space, just praying that the teacher doesn't pick on him in class.
Exactly. And I will say though, he does get the drip, like once he becomes Hand of the King
yeah,
instead of just
even
the pin.
Tyrion had that
He had the circle.
Yeah, in the Blackwater.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I have to go back. This guy's gotten like an encyclopedia over here.
You know.
But I think that's about it for at least the highlights of the first half of the season for me. I definitely have a lot more since we initially planned this, but
yeah,
we can always do something else when the season ends.
I would say, going into a more deep dive of the Green Small Council, just kind of like the conversations of like between like mother and son, between Aegon and Alicent, when she's basically just being like, "Do you really understand like what we did to put you on the throne?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, we're back. Sorry, we had some rude people intervene in our podcast.
They're trying to frisbee golf on our
Yeah,
course that
yeah.
we're clearly doing something on.
I mean, we're
What were they
definitely in the
thinking?
studio right now, not in the middle of
No.
nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess going back to Alicent and Aegon, like the conversations where they're like, do you really know what we did to put you on the throne?" And uh, Aegon just kind of like, "What would you even have me do?" And Alicent's just like, "Dude, literally just do nothing and just learn from these people."
Yeah, basically just tells them to shut up and listen.
And then Aegon's just hitting her with a "no" and just drives drunk on a dragon.
True.
But yeah, I think we should transition into our lowlights, and I'll start this one off. First lowlight is got to be pacing. This season's pacing has been, I'd honestly say, pretty
Terrible.
painful to watch.
It's just awful.
It feels like everything's happened in one episode, but literally nothing's happened.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of feels like they're teasing you. It's like, oh, next week is gonna be something crazy, and then it just never happens. Just like best examples, definitely Damon at Harrenhal. Even though there's cool elements with Alice Rivers and Oscar Tully, it just it feels almost like where they could have just put really just 2 episodes and made them like the main focus of it, instead of just splitting it up into 6, like where he's taking up like a quarter of the episode of screen time, where it's kind of like it almost seems redundant at this point, where it's like 2 flashbacks of Rhaenyra, which I get it, it's in his past, and then like 2 flashbacks of Viserys now, as we are up to episode 8. But yeah, it there's some cool concepts there, but it just feels like it has not been explored to a T.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, at least for myself, the same thing for lowlights is definitely the Harrenhal. Like, I really liked that scene, especially at the beginning of the season with Rhaenyra and Daemon when they're having that argument about whether or not she can trust him and whether or not that he is okay with her becoming the queen and him just being the king consort. And like I thought that was going to lead into a really cool dynamic. He flies off the Harrenhal. I was like, okay, he's going to come and get this done in an episode, maybe two. But it is just every episode. It
They're
feels
like try 7.
yeah, and like it's the same thing. Like he keeps having just like the same reactions to almost all of his illusions. Where he's like, "No, this can't be," until like the most recent episode where, I mean, now he's just kind of accepted being crazy and he's just experiencing them. But most of the time, like every time he kept having a vision, he's like, "No, this isn't real," and then he'd like freak out and run away or try to kill it or do something like that. I was dumb, and it really felt like the episodes so far have been like 3 to 4 good scenes, and then the rest of them have just been filler with Harrenhal and everything else.
We did get Simon Strong with Harrenhal though. That he's a goat.
I mean, he's fine. And I will say, in the most recent episode 7, I really liked the scene with the River Lords and Oscar Tully. That was a really good scene. I really like that scene, especially when Oscar Tully is like, you gonna have our army or aren't you?
He basically tames the dragon in front of everyone.
True. You can say he's the dragon rider.
Exactly.
But also another one of my lowlights. This was just at the end of an episode. This hasn't been going on all season. This was just a moment I thought was really stupid. Like it kind of made sense, but like the more you thought about it, I was just like, this is dumb, and it didn't really give anything to the plot. But when Rhaenyra goes to see Alicent as a nun, that felt
so goofy. Yeah. It's like there's some goofy plot lines this year.
Yeah.
Like the twins, that felt a little goofy. Even like Blood and Cheese felt a little too goofy to like. They're literally there to like assassinate someone, and they're like, "Oh, who are we gonna kill, David?"
Yeah. It was very cartoonish.
Yeah.
Like they're very like strongman little guys sort of vibes going on. And I know it's in the books too, but they could have handled it a lot differently.
In the books, they make Helena choose.
Yeah.
That I felt like,
and they go there specifically to kill one of the kids too in the books. They're not trying to kill Aemond or Aegon. It's just they were sent to kill one of their kids. Because Rhaenyra lost a kid, and so she wants Aegon to lose a kid.
Yeah, well, they definitely paint the blacks to be super good guys. Like the whole propaganda of this season was like choose your side. It's like okay, well, we know clearly who's the good side,
or at least who the directors think is on the right side.
Yeah, it's kind of like if like Star Wars would be like choose your side, and then it's like okay, I'm not gonna
be. Am I with Space Hitler or with Space Jesus? Who's it gonna be? But yeah, that was a really low point, and it really didn't offer anything. They met, they talked, and then I mean, it just gave like Rhaenyra the moral authority to keep launching into war. To like you said, just make her the definite good guy.
Yeah.
But like to be fair, like at that point in the story, like Alicent had basically lost all of her power, so she couldn't do anything anyway. But I mean, even then, it's kind of like too little, too late. Exactly. In my opinion, like Rhaenyra's lost a son, like Helena's lost a son.
Well, Simon says it. I'm referring back to my goat. When he says sin begets sin, and you don't really know what really starts a war. Was it Aemon losing an eye? Was it Luke dying?
Simon?
Yes. Well,
that was Rainey.
Rainey said it, but Simon said sin begets sin.
Oh, okay.
And then
then you started with Rainey's.
Yeah.
Kinda, okay.
I'm trying to get my voice out.
Yeah. We're just trying to make it history.
Oh. The Maesters write fire and blood.
That's true. But that was definitely one of the lowlights. Other than Harrenhal, that scene was pretty painful for me. I just thought it was dumb, and then it didn't lead to anything. But I think that's it for the lowlights as far as I go.
I'm trying to think if there's any more. There's just Blood and Cheese felt a little lackluster. Yep. And I gotta say too, with the whole Blood and Cheese thing, I feel like they really gave us just one scene with Jaehaerys. Like even like
Yeah.
I feel like if for one of the main characters' kids dying, I should feel more to it.
Yeah.
And I don't really know. I don't know the actor's name for Helena, uh, but I feel like they could have written that better to where there's more expression. I get that she's like quirky and like,
Yeah.
but it just felt like she's like they got the kid when like Allison and like Kristen Cole are
I
getting their freak on.
I will say though, it does lead to one of the best acting scenes in the season when Aegon is like
Oh
berating his
yeah,
council, and he's like, "My son is my heir,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
then like, "Where were you?"
yeah.
I was abed.
Fucking a bad. Or kind of
uh,
referring back to when Aegon shouts
True.
when he's like, "I want Harrenhal," and then like Larys is like, "But we don't really care about."
Yeah.
It's like, don't care about Harrenhal. It's your fucking house.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, with Laris
Yeah.
Strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a really great scene too. I mean, going back to the highlights, Aegon's actor's
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
been shining this season.
stole it. I'd almost say stealing the show a
Yeah,
little bit.
honestly, like any scene he's in, he's really the forefront. He's really taking front stage. But that's a pretty good transition into who we think our most promising characters are this season. I think Cole, you should go
Uh,
first.
yes. So I was debating between three characters, and I gotta say, I was really, really thinking about Aemond, but I
Mm-hmm.
will put him as my honorable mention, and I will put Aegon Targaryen the second. Uh,
Yeah,
we kind of just been glazing him all
episode.
episode long,
Yeah,
but I mean for good reason. He literally came out of nowhere
yeah,
and really stepped up to the plate. I every scene he's in, he's stealing the show.
yep,
Just even though he's not the most witty, he almost seems. I cannot believe I'm saying this because of what he's done in the past, but
yeah,
it almost seems like relatable to
yeah.
where he's like kind of just being shunned away. Because I mean, we all kind of want to be like respected,
Mm-hmm.
and like what they're doing to him is
Mm-hmm.
high treason when Kristen is sending
Yeah,
Aemon the battle plans.
yeah.
He's like, so I don't know about
You're
this,
conspiring against behind my back,
and then
and
just Aemon just shits on him in High
yeah,
Valyrian.
yep.
He's,
And I would say that he's just a very sympathetic character. I mean, he's done like a lot of shitty stuff, but I
but
mean,
that's the
everybody,
beauty of
yeah,
Thrones.
everybody in Thrones
No one's
has, or House of the
yeah
Dragon. But really, like nobody is innocent, especially like when you think about it back in those like medieval times, like things were just a lot worse anyway. But he's just like even in the first season, he said he never wanted to be king,
yeah.
and now that he's forced to be, he just wants a little bit of respect, and he just really can't get it anywhere. Not even his own mother like respects him in any way.
Well, in season one, after he commits that horrible act with Diana,
Yeah.
Allison just goes, "You're no son of mine," and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of just changed him.
Yep.
Like even in that scene, he's like, "What do I have to do to like get your love?" And Allison's like, just leaves. I feel like I don't want to go too much back into the lowlights of the season,
Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of these characters where they could be having like these like good conversations with each other and like
Yeah.
really could drive the story further and like really bank your relationships with each character. They kind of just look off into the distance and just sulk.
Yeah.
Like Allison has done that a lot this year.
Yeah.
Corlys.
Yep.
I felt like there could have been some really cool stuff after Rainey dies.
Yeah. His only real emotional scene is when he speaks with Rhaena, when she come and asks him to be hand of
Yeah.
the king. And that's really all he gets, other than a very short scene with Rhaenys when she discovers his bastards. But other
Yeah.
than that, he does not get much to do.
And I hope that builds up too a little bit with Adam and Alan.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like awkward a little bit, but hopefully that builds into something where we can actually like see like these really cool like conversations between these characters.
Yeah, I agree. And as far as my most promising character goes, it's really unfortunate just because I know where the fate of this character ultimately lies. But This season I've really enjoyed all of the scenes with Jace. Uh, he's been a really interesting character. First season, I didn't really care about any of Rhaenyra's kids. They were all just like kids, so
Bastards, you could say.
yeah, very strong boys for sure. But this season, every scene he's in, I mean,
was only a compliment.
Boys.
I dare you to say that again.
Why? It was only a compliment.
This season though, every scene he's been in, and I really liked his character. Like you really know what he's all about, like what he stands for, and you know he's got that confidence to him. He's like a watered down Aemond almost, especially in that scene when he goes to the phrase and
he's the way he says bent knees.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, dude, I'm ready to go to war for you, guy. I'm ready. I'm ready.
They're wanting a dragon or protection, and he's like, "You're scared of a dragon leagues away when mine sits outside your walls." And they kind of like, "Oh fuck!" Like, yeah, you're kind of right about that. But eventually, you know, he just works it out, and they want more shit, and he's like, "Well, that's gonna cost you more." Like, he's not a pushover. Like when they're asking for a lot, he is going to request a lot back. He has really been on his mother's case, which I know everybody in the Black is like not respecting Rhaenyra, but I think that I feel like Jace does, like he wants his mother to be queen, obviously for his own sake, but I feel like he does still like respect her in that way. But she has done a lot of dumb things this season.
She literally told no one that she was going to King's Landing.
Yeah.
But just focusing really on Jace because he's the center of this conversation.
Yep.
Just like you said, the building of the frustration between him and Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that is one of the good exceptions of pacing.
Yep.
Like those scenes between those two really mean a lot.
You can really just see it escalating every episode. Him being more and more fed up with his mother's decisions at every turn. And I mean, even when like he kind of came to her with the idea of the dragon seeds, and she takes it one step further. Instead of just doing like these noblemen, she goes and does these bastards, and he gets like very upset with it because, you know, you really kind of see where all of his motivations come from. You know, his only claim to the throne is that he's a dragon rider. I mean, he says it, you know, everybody can see his hair. And like, I mean, now, at least in his mind, he's no better than, you know, a bastard off the street, because these two other bastards just came off and are dragon riders now. And so he's really feeling like he's just a piece of shit, honestly.
Yeah, Rhaenyra had a very good short-term plan. Long-term,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Where it goes. And like, it was a good idea when, you know, Jace pitched it. I mean, it was a little silly that he got like so mad about it, because he did pitch the idea originally, but you know, once he explained like why he was so upset, it definitely made sense, at least to me. But really, they really did need those dragons, and it was a good idea from Jace, because like when they first did it, you know, Rhaenyra was the one who was like, only you know, dragon riders are able to tame dragons, and he's like, because the history books say that's true. Like, we wrote those. So he has been one of my favorites to see. Like, I've loved his progression, loved the way he's starting to grow a backbone. Like, you can really see he's kind of becoming like that Aemond to the Black Court, kind of walking in the footsteps of Daemon for sure. But yeah, that is my most promising, I guess, and which leads into our least promising characters.
So I've kind of battled with this, but I am ultimately going to have to pick Rhaenyra.
Interesting. I would not have guessed that, honestly. Mine's very different, at least. This is our first very different thing. So
if you hear punching, just know it's real.
I'm winning. So.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to pick Rhaenyra, and the last two episodes, don't get me wrong, have been good for Rhaenyra's case, but I gotta judge this based on what I'm seeing. If over 90% of the season she's just doing stupid plans and just being absent, it just seems flat. Like, she's had great scenes with the argument with Daemon, and she's kind of just letting her council members roll over her, but she does smack the shit out of I forgot what his name was.
Sure, the guy who she sent to go check on Daemon, and haven't seen him since.
Well, no, she because she sent him off to Harrenhal, and then
Yeah.
she smacked that one dude.
That is it. Oh yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
It is kind of cool to like see like her going through like the history books and all that.
Yeah.
And with her like holding down the sword too, and I guess she's got a little side piece now in Massaria.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't care for that scene either.
I mean, I would say it's random,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm not outraged by it. I mean,
No, it didn't like outrage me. It did seem like
You
the only
sound
problem I
outraged
had
right
with it
now.
is that I hate when like this goes for Alicent too. I hate that Alicent and Christian Cole are so dumb. I mean, it makes sense for Christian Cole's character, which we'll get into later for me at least, because
Oh.
a little foreshadowing there. But I hate when those sorts of people like just start like sleeping together, and because it causes all this other stupid drama you think you wouldn't want to have as queen or as captain of the Kingsguard.
Yeah.
And so for Rhaenyra to start that sort of relationship with her spy master, I'm like, it's always so dumb, because if you do something to upset your spy master as a lover, that's like your spy master. They could fuck you over so badly just because you do something that they don't necessarily agree with, or because you break up, or because when Daemon
Yeah,
comes home, like Daemon's not gonna stand for this Massaria stuff. Like, that's gonna put a wrench in their relationship, which I can always only like adds to her making dumb decisions. And for the case of people saying it was really random, I know that it was an improvised scene from the actress of Rhaenyra, so it's probably why it felt so random. Like because the writers weren't necessarily aiming it for things to go there, but
I mean, they sent it.
yeah, they did send it. So
Yeah.
ultimately, but yeah, I can see your reasoning, but a little bit of foreshadowing reveals itself. My least promising character is Christian Cole this season.
Interesting. That
Yeah,
I think I don't think he deserves that spot.
I
Honestly,
think he like first season, like it was interesting to see him up and coming, see like everything he was doing, but like this season, like
so
for
much
me,
soul and
he just like
pity.
he's just a petty bitch. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't care about anything other than like giving the stiffy to Rhaenyra because he's pissed that she would not go and be a fisherman.
My
with him.
toxic king.
Yeah, like bro's just so pit. Like he is like gone to the point where like I don't even think he cares about Alicent. He's just having sex with her because it was Rhaenyra's old bestie and her arch nemesis at this point.
Well, I would disagree with that. I do think he cares about Alicent.
I don't like he never does anything to show that he cares. It's crazy.
Well, I would say not to defend Cole. You know, I am gonna defend, but when Aemon kind of talked shit about Alicent behind her back, like Cole is just like, well, she's very caring and like loving, like he's defended her in front of
in private. He's defended her, but when it comes to the
last episode, he defended her idea.
Yeah, a little bit. He gave her a little leeway, but like every other place, like especially when Aemon is trying to take the throne, she really leans on him for support, and he is nowhere. She's like, Christian Cole, like back me up here, and he's like, no.
Well, he also maybe he just thinks Aemon would be a better choice. I mean, he
But you can tell by the look on his face, he's like, this is fun.
Well, yeah, because it's obviously like a conflicting decision because like he obviously cares about Alicent, but he also says too like, hey, we gave this war to the dragons. Like, we need top honcho to call the shots.
I think that was just an excuse. I
believe it, honestly.
And so there's that. And when he goes and beheads all the people.
I mean, that's just typical bend the knee type stuff.
That's fine. But and like at Rook's Rest, like honestly too, like he's like just, in my opinion, like he is dumb to the point where it's costing the kingdom. Like because he doesn't clue in Aegon. Aegon gets this like, he gets all sulky about it. And if they just let Aegon know, like he probably wouldn't have even gotten drunk and drove into the fight, like at Rook's Rest and. All this other stuff. And I mean, literally, when his son is assassinated, Christian Cole is abed, like just fucking his mother.
Yeah,
it's crazy to me. And because this whole guy's thing is like he's supposedly supposed to be too honorable to carry on, a secret relationship with Rhaenyra at least. But now, he's like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm the least honorable person around now.
Hey.
And honestly, too, like. If you really look at this whole season, what has he done other than be there? Like he's really not done anything.
he set up the plans for Regress.
You could argue that Aemon set up those plans.
I'd say they cooperated both at. I'd say they both participated in that pretty equally.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say like he just hasn't done anything really to affect the plot in my eyes.
He also sent Sir Eric on that goofy twin mission.
It's true, but that was one of maybe not the best
And
things to watch.
Yeah,
That was another thing too, is that he did that to like redeem himself for being a bed during the assassination. He's like, I know what we need to do. Kill one of our other Kingsguard. And like, yeah, I hate how like hypocritical he is. I just hate Christian Cole as a character as well. And he hasn't really done much for me. Like he comes in and he sees that Eric's like cape is dirty and he's like, that's an insult to the god. It's you're ruining your purity. And you know, Eric at that point he's like, oh yeah, you know all about purity, I bet. And he's like, what do you mean by that? And it's just like, come on, Cole, you look like a clown. And then you know when Aegon is found burned alive and clinging to life, he's like, how could I not have foreseen this? It's so like, and especially at that point, like he knows Aemon.
literally
responsible.
anyone saw that
Yeah.
giant fucking tank in
Yeah.
the air.
And so he knows he's just a bad guy, and I don't think he's really done much. Yeah, that's my least promising character, at least.
Yes, I would say there's parts of me that kind of distance myself from like what Masari has been doing. I don't know if it's like the way it's delivered on the screen, but it just feels like so cliche with the Spy Master backstory. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. It just falls flat. Like a lot of Team Black just falls flat for me.
I don't mind Miss Arya. She's a fine addition. It's taken a little bit to get used to her because I also like slightly forgot about her from season 1. I didn't
Yeah.
rewatch the season at all before season 2 started, but when she came back, I remembered her being the one who had Aegon and everything, and she knew Daemon. I remembered all that.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, well, Damon said that she was going to be his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that she was pregnant.
But yeah, so I remember that. But yeah, I don't mind her so much as a Spy Master
Featuring a plane.
in the studio. That's how you know we're big ballin'.
They're going right on us. They hit another tower.
Oh fuck! It's just Vagar.
Yeah.
What'd
you say about my sneak, bitch? What'd you say?
How do you miss a big ass dragon?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna show you.
But that leads us into our final segment, which is kind of just how our final thoughts on how the season is going and how we think it's going to end.
So I will take the reins on this. I would say, if I had to say one word, I would say it's been underwhelming.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It just not a whole lot has happened.
Don't get me wrong, still better than most TV out there right now. But I was just
But we
expecting
got to
more.
hold this to peak fiction.
Yeah. I will say, I know that one episode got like the top 10 lowest rating or whatever.
Not deserved.
not deserved,
Not
for sure.
deserved at all.
I don't think that one episode is worse than any of season 8.
Maybe episode 2 in season 8.
I don't know.
That's
I'd have to
the
go back and rewatch
that's the
that.
setup one before the
Mhm.
long night.
See, but that even like just yeah, whatever. Not to get too much into Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it deserves that. I think it's definitely, if I had to give it a rating right now, I might give it a. These last 2 episodes have been
They've been heating up.
yeah. This last episode, right now I'm gonna give it an 8. It might change, but strong 7, light 8 is where I'm at right now.
I would give this, because I had to judge this solely on how the season is going.
Yep.
I'd give this low 7s, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not really. It doesn't feel like a juicy season, honestly.
Yeah, I'll go back and I think I'll cement mine as a 7. I'm feeling a little stronger in my opinion with companionship. So. So I 7 for sure right now. But this last episode could make it an 8 for me. I mean, they've got some really great scenes in there with Oscar Tully and the High Council and everything like that. But I really just need to see how they finish it out.
fuck the war. Let's just get a spin-off between Kristen Cole and Gawain Hightower.
Oh,
Going back to one of the cool scenes from the green side is really like one of Allison's like one of like her few scenes this year that have been like really great is when
Mhm.
she's talking to Gawain.
Yeah.
About like
her son and
about Daron.
Otto, and I'm interested to see how they do Daron.
Yeah,
when he
I have
finally
no
comes into the
idea.
fray. He's probably one of the characters I know the least amount, other than
Yeah.
the dragon seeds.
Um, I would it's really cool how Allison kind of self reflects was like, well, is it because he's not in King's Landing or is it just because I'm not his mom?
Right.
Uh,
So we'll have to see like how things are, and I'm really interested to see how Daron interacts with people like Aemond and Christian Cole and
what's left of Aegon?
right,
Yeah.
and to see if maybe if he comes to if he comes to the Red Keep, if he's gonna start being the guy who Alicent starts to rely on, like maybe he'll become her new like personal guard.
Well,
sort of
Otto
thing.
kind of hints at that. He's like, "Yo, I can just go back to Old Town and I can recruit with Daron, and he can kind of be my cash cow now."
Yeah, and because he's got a dragon of his own, don't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
we'll
think
see that.
they
Probably not
call
next
the.
episode.
I
but-
don't know the actual name of the dragon, but it's called. They call her the Blue Queen.
Okay. She's riding Age, I think. I think they
Yeah,
just said he
yeah.
just rode her for the first time.
Episode 8, they say Daron has taken wing. So,
Yes.
so he's.
Maybe he'll even show up in the last episode.
I feel like it'd be kind of cool to see like him enter in season 3.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Jace showed up in Winterfell.
Yeah, that'd
It's
be
like-
cool. That's another great scene with Jace.
Yeah. Even
Um,
though, like, I know I'm kind of going back to Thrones a little bit. It just kind of turns me off when they talk about like the White Walkers. It's like,
Oh.
because you know how bad it ends, at least
Yeah.
in the show.
Yeah.
It's like,
And they foreshadow
yeah,
the horribleness that it
it's like-
becomes. Yeah. It is cool to see them more
yeah.
superstitious about it.
And,
Because in the original Game of Thrones, everyone didn't really think it was real.
yeah,
Maybe
maybe they should have told Aegon's dream.
true. They should have told him
Yeah.
the Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah,
But I think that practically wraps it up.
yeah. No, I'd say this has been a pretty good episode 1.
Yeah.
A lot of us in there, but I feel like we're really
yeah.
we're really hitting our
First
stride.
recordings,
Yeah,
and little us never hurt nobody.
yeah.
Helps formulate a sentence sometimes. And I'm sure we'll do something else once the season's over finally. Maybe with a
Yes.
break in between. We'll probably maybe do something in between this and another House of the Dragons, but we'll see.
That will do it for Talkers on the Wall. This has been Cole and Braden. We out.